Today's episode of Conversations with Per is proudly brought to you by Tiger Per Chai, chef-crafted, made from pure, natural ingredients designed to activate your power within. Those who know me well will know that I don't fangirl over anyone. I just don't. However, I have been secretly fangirling over our next guest since meeting her for the first time when she dined at my restaurant, Red Lantern, over 6 years ago. And I will be the first to admit, I want to be Natalie Ledwell when I grow up. Natalie is a risk taker, a disruptor, a nonconformist, a rule breaker, an adventurer, and literally a badass manifester. She travels to all corners of the globe to teach people to do just that, to make the invisible visible. Natalie is the founder of world-acclaimed platform Mind Movies, inspiring millions, close to 6 million to be more exact, of adults and kids all over the world to manifest their lives fulfilled with joy, happiness, purpose, and passion. The lives we were destined to live. Natalie is also a best-selling author, entrepreneur, speaker, seeker, television host, and podcaster, and continues to push humanity forward with another new program, Personal Growth Studies. It's a powerful children's curriculum designed to help underprivileged kids establish a strong foundation of personal development, bringing in the principles of personal growth and emotional intelligence to children, particularly in the area where issues like bullying, self-harm, and anxiety are at an all-time high. And this program is currently being taught in Liberia, Africa, and soon to be the US, Australia, and New Zealand. I encourage you to tune into Natalie's latest podcast show called Not Over, Just Different, a podcast for women like me facing life's next chapter with this deepness, rawness, and candid conversations about everything from health, from aging gracefully, spirituality, personal development, from love, divorce, relationships to financial literacy, as well as their careers. Natalie says, there is nothing more delicious than living a life on purpose and making a difference regardless of how many people you influence. Settle in as we share this delicious conversation with her, with one of my most inspiring idols, Miss Natalie Ledwell. Hello, Natalie.
Hi.
Welcome.
So good to see you.
You smell amazing.
Oh, thank you.
I remember when we were in Colorado and we just contract everyone's names. It's like bloody Aussies contract.
Yeah.
My name is. It's not shortened. Welcome. I want to pour you some Tiger Per Chai.
Oh, thank you. Oh, it smells delicious.
We made this chai, anti-ordinary chai for anti-ordinary people. You go, Natalie.
Thank you.
It is delicious and nutritious.
Oh, yum.
So good. So good. Where do you live now?
I'm in LA.
Yes.
Actually, in Marina Del Rey.
Yes.
So I have this
Amazing.
beautiful place where I get to see the Hollywood sign and I get to see the marina. So it's a very inspiring place, and I got to purchase this place and renovate it, so I created my sanctuary. So it's a place that I can really be creative.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And so how long have you been in the US for?
Ooh, started going there in 2008.
Okay.
So originally did the endless summer, 6 months in California, 6 months in Sydney, but then business took off so quickly that it's like we had to spend more time in the US. So
Yes. I remember when we first met, I think this was 6 or 7 years ago, and it was one of those rare occasions when I was treading the floorboards at Red Lantern.
Yeah.
And you were sitting over there, and your friend said, "Oh, are you Pauline?" I said, "Yes." And said, "Oh, it's my birthday, and do you know my friend Natalie? She lives in the States, and she's a big fan of Red Lantern. And you might know her, Natalie Ledwell from Mind Movies." And I'm like, of course I know Natalie Ledwell from Mind Movies because of the work that I do. And it's like, I've been following your journey for so long, for so long. And there is so much respect for the persistence, the perseverance,
yeah,
the courage, as well as the grit.
thank
Work
you.
that's got you to where you are today. And it was a bit of I guess, a fangirl moment when I was telling you that I was going to release my book, The Way of the Spiritual Entrepreneur, very soon. And bless your heart, you said, come onto my podcast.
Yeah.
And I remember it so vividly, Nat, because we just moved into a new house. I had no internet. It was the very first podcast that I'd done in that house. And it was just, I was so amateur at the whole podcast internet thing, and I was this is so embarrassing, but you were so gracious and so patient with me, and I don't think I can watch that podcast back. It was too distorted for me, and I want to kind of a little bit apologize. And then last year, a pinch me moment, we're co-facilitating a retreat together in Colorado. That was a beautiful, beautiful time.
That was an incredible retreat, and I don't normally do a lot of retreats like that. And we'd come out of COVID, so it was my first kind of in-person, speaking gig.
Yeah.
But it was so intimate
Yep.
and so dropped in.
Yeah.
It was great spending time with you there.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. Yeah. So, where did you grow up? Let's start at the beginning.
Yeah, I grew up in Orange. I'm one of 8 kids, so I'm from a big family.
Yes.
And I was always a little bit of a square peg in a round hole. I always joke that I'm the alien in the family. But I was always this personality, strong, kind of being the center of attention, not necessarily seeking it, but always ending up there, always very confident. I had more confidence than any child should ever be endowed with.
Right. Where'd you get that from?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Honestly. And my story is that my biological mother left when I was 3.
Right.
And so Dad, married Mum, who I call Mum because she's the only mum I know. She had 6 kids from her previous marriage, and Dad had me and my sister, and that's how we became the 8.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a little challenging at times because, I'm this big personality and confident, and Mum is trying to, wrangle 8 kids. And so in her mind, she was trying to kind of, get me to be more like the other 7, and which was, not necessarily. Yeah. Well, she's like, you can't be the center of the limelight all the time. And I'm like, well, clearly I listened to her intently because look at where I am. But yeah, it was interesting because it was just my personality. I think it's something that I just came in with.
Yeah.
Luckily.
Yeah. What were some of your fondest memories of growing up in Orange?
Oh, I mean, growing up in a big family is so much fun. It can be so much fun. We used to do things like blackberry picking. Yeah. Mum would pile us all into this, Colden Kingswood, like all 8 kids, and we'd, be driving out of town. We'd stop, and technically we're stealing onto someone's property, but we all jumped the fence with our big buckets, and we've got purple all over our hands and our mouth and everything. And then Mum would be making blackberry pies and blackberry jam, and or we'd do things like at Easter, we'd always play rounders, or I'd dress up as the Easter bunny for my nieces and nephews. Mum was great at being able to make a lot of fun.
Yeah.
They didn't cost any money.
Yes.
Because, there wasn't, a lot of that.
Yep.
And we never felt poor. We never felt hard done by. I always felt like I had a great, childhood. And even though my mother's and my relationship was a little tumultuous, I look at all of the gifts because of that.
Yeah.
My resilience, my independence. I was always going to be, something out there in the world. That was always something I saw for myself.
Yeah. At what age did you see that?
I would have been a teenager for sure. Or maybe even, I'm thinking 12.
Yeah.
I would have these thoughts of, why aren't all these adults listening to me? Can't you see what's, and I had this gift to be able to see things that adults didn't necessarily see either. But I had doubts in myself.
Like what?
Just the way things worked.
Yeah.
I remember one of my favorite teachers was this woman who, she had been a ballerina and she'd been a flight attendant and then she'd been something else and then she became a teacher. I loved her because it's like, you can teach me something about the world that I can see.
Yes.
And everyone else was just a career teacher.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't learn anything from you. I knew that, and I would see different, through talking to her, it kind of opened up my eyes to how the world worked in a certain way, but I picked it up very quickly.
Yeah. I have a similar story and I resonate. And I think when we see things differently, we just notice difference everywhere.
Yeah.
Growing up, there was a woman called Miss Lee. She was the school librarian. and she was hot compared to all the other teachers. She would come to school with her hair blow dried. She always looked, she had a dress, wore heels, and it was like exactly what you said. I reckon you can teach me something about life that the other teachers can't. And then she held, extracurricular classes after school for, how to put on makeup, how to care for your skin,
Right.
How to sit, how to do all of that. And I don't think that was ever part of the curriculum until Miss Lee came into our orbit. Did you always want to leave Orange, Nat?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. I left home when I was 17.
Yes.
I left Orange when I was 18.
Yes.
I moved to Sydney. I did not know one person.
Yes.
I just had to get out.
Yeah.
And I initially, back then, this is like 89 or something, there was a big shortage of bank tellers. So I was able to talk my way into a bank teller job easy. So I had a job to go to. But what I was doing in Orange was I was an aerobics instructor.
Right.
And I was working in a gym.
Yeah.
And I didn't think I was going to be good enough to teach in Sydney because I'm just this little girl from the country. And within a couple of months, I had that much freelance work coming to me through the fitness, industry that I quit the banking job because I was definitely not cut out for that.
I actually started visualizing you doing banking. Okay.
I was like, oh no, this is not for me. And then I started managing fitness clubs when I was 21. And again, I didn't know what I was doing, but I'm thinking I could do a better job than you. Like, I'm sure I could figure this out, which has really been my MO for most of my life.
Yes.
Like, there's no challenge that I shy away from because I'm like, I'll just figure it out.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And as you said, or talk my way into it.
When I was younger, I had more front than Kmart. Like, seriously. I would talk my way into things that, and even now, like I look at like the challenges, Mind Movies. When we started Mind Movies, I was 40 years old. Now I'm looking at the education industry where I just was on a phone call this morning. Looks like we have 2 schools in Houston that are ready to start with personal growth studies.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know anything about education and I don't know anything about children. I don't even have children.
Yeah.
But I could see that there's a need there and I know that there's something that I can do to make a difference. I can move the needle on this.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm like, I'll just learn it as I go.
You also have this energy about you, Nat, that is like, you will listen to me. I have an idea and you will listen to me. It's that commanding energy that you have, and I think it's wonderful and delicious and powerful. So before I dive deeper into Mind Movies, I want to ask about your history as an entrepreneur and a nightclub owner.
Oh, God, yes.
So from bank teller to aerobics instructor to managing all the classes and the gym to where from there before you got to running nightclubs?
I know. I went from fitness industry to nightclub industry, which was quite the jump. I was very fortunate and strategic. Like when I started managing a fitness club, I instantly pretty much got poached by another club.
Right.
And I always wanted to work for people who I knew could teach me something.
Yeah.
Like I need to know more. And back then, Jamie Hayes was, he had Body Express was his franchise. And it was the only franchise in Australia at the time. And I'm like, I need to work for that guy.
Yep.
Why? Because he...
Proven success?
Yeah, proven success.
Yep.
And I also work for people who were willing to invest a lot in their employees.
Yeah.
So I got paid by my, club owners to go to Tony Robbins and Zig Ziglar and Jim Rohn and all those guys back in the day. So I got to break and cut my teeth on other people's businesses. So when you go into a nightclub, I'm thinking, well, this is quite the jump. And but it's still a service industry.
Yeah.
And so everything that I had learned in fitness, I applied to the nightclub. When the nightclub was on Oxford Street, in the middle of all of the craziness that was going on, things that I implemented were things looking after our team, making sure that when people came to the club, they had the experience that they expected.
Yeah.
With our DJs, we're like, listen, you can be as creative as you want as long as you play this style, because people are coming to expect this style
What
of
was
music.
the nightclub?
It was called Envy.
Okay, I remember Envy.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Okay.
Yeah. So 5 years that aged just 10 years. But
Did you get deep into the party scene and all of that as well?
well, we were kind of in the party scene beforehand, which is
Yep.
how we fell into that opportunity.
The good old days.
Yeah, we used to also do the big party cruises on the harbour,
right.
with the boats.
Yep.
And we had the biggest boat on New Year's Day. It was like held 800 people. We did that like 3 or 4 years in a row.
Wow.
Filled that. So we just knew a lot of people. And my ex-husband, now Glenn, who's still my business partner, he and I just knew a lot of people. And we're just those kind of people that, people would gravitate towards. So it worked for us in that. And then after the nightclub, we had a whole series of different businesses, coffee franchises, health food businesses, property development. We started the first bathroom advertising company in Australia.
Right?
Because we got the idea from
Totally random.
Yeah, no. When I was working in fitness, we'd put a little sign behind the door in the bathrooms and the toilets so that you could see what was happening at the club. Well, we got the idea that that's advertising space.
Yeah.
So we
right.
we went around to all of the pubs and the clubs and signed them into a contract. So now we have the ownership on leasing that space, and then eventually we got bought out by one of the bigger advertising companies. But it's just an idea, and like, let's just make it happen.
Yeah. What a clever idea.
Yeah,
They ain't going anywhere.
exactly. Captive audience.
Yes. So, nightclubbing and then Mind Movies. Natalie, will you tell the listeners who don't know what Mind Movies is?
Yeah, so a mind movie is really just a tool. So for a lot of people, when you're looking to manifest what you want, you have to be able to see it in your mind. You have to see yourself already there. And you have to feel the emotions of already living that moment or living that life. And when you can do that and you can take action towards it, that's what helps you to manifest. Now, a lot of people would create what they call vision boards. And if you saw The Secret, John Assaraf, who's a friend of ours now, he had that whole section on vision boards where he'd put a photo of a house that he wanted to live in and then put it away. Years later, he moved into that house and got the vision board out and went, oh my God, this is the actual house. So, having that visual prompt can make it easy for you to put yourself in that house or driving that car or on that vacation. Yeah. So a mind movie just takes it to another level. And we've created software to make it super easy for people to make these movies for themselves. And it's a description of the future that you want to live in.
When you say we created the software, did you literally create the software? Because weren't you busy running nightclubs?
Well, this is after. So we got out of the nightclub in 2001, 2002. We didn't start Mind Movies until 2007. So there was a bit of a gap. And we did. We commissioned someone to create the software. We have a new version of it now that's just being released.
Awesome.
But back then, it wasn't even software. It was just videos of our business partner who came to us with the idea, showing people how to make these movies for themselves using somebody else's software, creating PowerPoint slides, getting photos off the internet and putting it all together, kind of Frankensteining together. We made millions of dollars out of that. And then we had the ability to be able to build our own. So it's a combination of like affirmations, photos, and music.
Yep.
And music's the secret sauce because for two reasons. Number one, it can emotionally help you to become a vibrational match. Yeah. Like if I'm creating a love mind movie, I'm using a love song.
Yep.
If I'm, creating something about business, I'm using an inspiring song. And that song also becomes an anchor.
Yeah.
So every time you hear that song, like my original Mind Movie in 2006 was done to Clocks by Coldplay. And I'm getting goosebumps thinking about the song. Because every time I hear it, I cry.
Yeah.
Because it was the beginning of this incredible life that I get to live.
Yeah. You're like one of the OGs of this movement where the collective consciousness is going. It must give you so much satisfaction to sit back and watch that it is, if the listeners have been paying attention, it's where the collective consciousness is going, this deep sense of what we're capable of.
Yeah.
We have no idea what we're capable of. And so you have, if people wanted to learn from you and learn from Mind Movies, where do they go now?
Well, if they were just to type my name into Google, I would hound them forever around the internet. So I do have a lot of free content online.
Yes.
But mindmovies.com is the main website.
Yes.
And from there, they can access the podcast. They can access any of the programs that we have. And we've got some, online coaching programs. We've kind of advanced from just mind movies. And we've got big things coming this year as well.
What are your coaching programs called?
So Ultimate Success Masterclass
Okay.
is the online coaching program. But this year I'm, again, stretching myself and going to be doing some in-person retreats as well. So,
Amazing.
yeah.
Where?
In LA.
Okay.
Close to home.
Fantastic. And what's the premise for those retreats?
So these retreats are more of a deep dive, because with the Ultimate Success Masterclass, or USM, it's really, this is the mechanics of how you apply law of attraction. This is how you can use this tool called EFT to help you release limiting beliefs. This is, who you are, but this is on an online format. But the in-person retreat is diving much deeper.
Yeah.
Like, we get really crystal clear about what the dream is, where is it that you're going? And then we spend a whole day on doing inner child work and releasing those limiting beliefs, and giving you a number of different tools that you can use, when you find that they're coming up and you're self-doubting yourself, or you've got that voice giving you a million reasons why you can't achieve what it is that you want.
Yeah.
And then the last day is a very clear roadmap to making it happen.
Is that what gives you joy?
It is. It is. I love the in-person. I love the coaching. I always, even if I'm tired, I will get on a coaching call, and at the end I am buzzing.
Yeah.
This is what it feels like to me. Like, a lot of people look at life, in this manner, like it's like we've got blinkers on.
Yeah.
And then all I do is go like this. And people go, oh my God,
Yeah.
I had no idea that all this was over here and this was possible.
Yeah.
And it's only a small shift.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people think it's a big deal, or there's a lot of work that you have to put into it. But if you do small things consistently,
Yeah.
you make an incredible difference in your life.
Yeah. Tony Robbins says it's just that 2 millimeter, right?
Yeah.
That 2 millimeter shift this way to change your whole world view. I also liken it to taking a pair of glasses off and putting on a new lens, and we
Yeah.
can put on as many lenses as we want, really.
Well, we do already.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, those lenses are put on because of experiences in our childhood.
Yeah.
Things that have shaped us or programmed us to think a certain way. And then everything that happens to us in life as a result of that is seen through that lens. So if we don't feel lovable, if we don't feel worthy, if we were told we'll never amount to anything, or that we're not pretty, or whatever that is, or not smart, then that's the lens that you always see through. So all of your choices and everything that you do through life, whether you're conscious of it or not, are then influenced by that lens.
Yeah. I love that you're the walking embodiment of all that you teach. You have that energy about you. You have this inner smile that you always radiate. And it's, I can tell that life is good for you. Life is fun. Life comes with ease and flow because of the work that you do. I say, if you do the work, you get the pay, right? And if you
Right.
get the pay, you get to play a very different game of life. Back to Mind Movies, you must have so many amazing stories, some profound transformational stories from the work that you do. I just had a thought about when it just becomes a way of life. Yesterday morning, I was reminiscing about one of my favorite clients. His name's Dan, and he has a very, very special story. And I was just reminiscing about him, I wonder what he's doing, how he's going. And then this morning, I got an email as well as an Instagram message from his wife, Anna, saying, you made such a profound impact on Dan's life. It's his 50th birthday coming on. I'd love to buy him more sessions as a surprise, some more sessions with you. And that just becomes a way of life.
Yeah.
Right? It just becomes how it is. We attract, we say, oh yeah, of course. And then we know it's the universe's message to know that we're on the right track and it's meant to be. And so I remember a few years ago, Nada, we were at a conference in the Gold Coast, and I went to one of your sessions, and you just were speaking about this idea that you had to bring mind movies to the underprivileged kids and teach them about personal development and their inner strength, and ding.
Yeah.
Here we are, here you are.
Yeah.
Can you speak to that? And I love your philanthropic heart.
Yeah.
And your sense of contribution always. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I think initially when I had the idea of putting together a kids program, I was through a series of very random events put together with the Dean of University in Columbia.
And I saw your Mind movie with that too.
Yeah.
You showed us your Mind movie with that.
So that's what put into my mind, okay, I really want to work with underprivileged children.
Yeah.
I mean, want to work with all children, but underprivileged, obviously.
Yes.
And so that we kind of talked and things didn't work out with that particular project, but I'm like, this is something that's on my mind. It's something I want to make a difference with. So, of course, when you put intention and thought and feeling into something like that, it's amazing how randomly it can show up.
Yeah.
And I had a girlfriend of mine who's part of the Association of Transformational Leaders with me. She reached out. She goes, look, I've got this project. It's a TV show. It's like a reality TV show. I'm like, no. She goes, but we're doing philanthropic work and I'd love you to be part of it. And I go, look, I really don't think so. And she goes, I think I want you to be part of the one that's going to Liberia, Africa.
Yeah.
Now, I had a gentleman reach out to me a year previously, and we had this relationship where he would often get on Skype. And he had an incredible story, but he had set up a vocational school in Liberia, in just outside of Monrovia. And I'm like, Liberia? Well, I could go there. So we ended up going over for this trip. For number one, for the TV show. Number two, because of the people that we were connected with, I got to meet with the Minister of Education and three of his, deputy ministers, which, again, I don't even know how I got myself in that situation.
I know, because of your Mind movie.
And then we also, as part of the show, all went out to Jeremiah's school, who was the gentleman that had reached out to me. And it was like, I think I slept for a week when I got back from that, because it was so, heartening and so endearing. And, of course, there you see results with the children so quickly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just like basic things, like generosity, like teaching them about generosity and then how they show up. One of the teachers was the last time I was on a Zoom call with them, was saying, I have students coming in and bringing me fruit, and they go, I'm showing my generosity. Or they're questioning some of the, superstitions, because they're like, wait a minute, being generous makes me feel good, so it can't be bad luck. Like, surely this is, so they're even questioning
Yes.
those kind of things as well.
Yeah.
And they're eager to learn.
Yeah. How rewarding for you. One of the barometers I have to know that it's a calling or it's a purpose, like when you said earlier, you're so tired, but then you get on a coaching call and you're energized and your heart expands, and what an incredible contribution piece. What's the next step with that program?
Well, it looks like we have a pilot starting in 2 Houston schools in Texas,
Wow.
which will start as early as next month.
Yeah.
Which is mind-blowing, because it's been years in the making. But the cool thing about that is that's our credibility. That's our step in the door.
Yeah.
And Texas has a mandate so that schools have to have a social and emotional learning curriculum. And, we have a very vanilla program. There's a lot of politics and things happening in the US that are a little crazy to me, but we have such a great program that can fit into any school, into any culture, into it's really like, these are life skills.
Yep.
This is not just emotional intelligence, but it's emotional knowledge. And it's like, how do I navigate as a human being? And especially since the pandemic. I mean, some children in the US were learning remotely for up to 2 years.
Right.
And they've missed out on some really instrumental and very important developmental stages in their growth.
Yeah.
So, it's the time for this program is now.
It's true.
Yeah.
Especially when anxiety, overwhelm, stress, displacement, loneliness, all that is so prevalent at the moment.
And they have no tools.
Yeah.
And they keep it from their parents. And if their parents do know, the parents don't know how to help them. Teachers are in massive overwhelm. And a lot of teachers in the US are resigning because they don't get paid well.
Yeah.
And they have all this extra pressure. And of course, parents have just gone through 2 years of being in so much fear about the safety and the health of their children and themselves that, maybe they're not showing up as their best selves right now. Yeah. So it's teachers are getting it from all angles. So we want to also be supporting teachers too, and making sure that they're getting help with their mental health, so that teachers are one of the most important roles in a child's
Maybe we
life.
should have a program for teachers, Nat.
Yeah. Next. That's coming next. When I got a few spare minutes,
You've got a few things on your plate. And so you are, have you found that because of recent events that your work has increased in business, in population? The platforms have increased as well?
Yes. And
It's needed.
No, absolutely. And we're expanding more into a different generation too. You know, the millennials are now at a stage where they are buying homes and stepping into careers and having families. So they are where we were when I started getting into this, information. So now we're really focusing on, well, how can we reach millennials where they are in a way that's going to serve them too?
Yeah.
So a lot of the new My Movies platform and some of our new products are very millennial friendly. We have a couple of focus groups that we're working with. Yeah. So, and even, and this is the nature of the business and the nature of the beast, the way that we advertise and the way that we market is different.
Yeah.
Before it was a lot of strategy and a lot of, certain jargon and so forth. You can't do that anymore. Like, I don't know, when you say that, I know that you're selling me. I don't want to feel like I'm being sold to.
Yeah.
So now it's just really raw.
Yeah.
It's just really authentic.
Yes.
And like this, so it's not as strategized as it used to be.
Yeah.
Because that just doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. I think very much now it's about uplifting and inspiring.
Absolutely.
To have them filled with inspiration.
Yeah.
And spirit. Wake Up TV.
Yeah.
Is that still going?
It's not still going.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was...
I love the premise of that. Share with us what the premise of that is. It's amazing.
Yeah, again, like I had an email. Like, I'm not seeking this out, but I got an email from someone saying, we want to talk to you about a TV show. I'm like, yeah, right. And I just deleted it. Like, there's no way that people would just reach out with something like that. They reached out again. No, seriously, we want to talk to you. And the whole idea was to have like The View, but consciously aware.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Because I'm like, I'm not doing a reality TV show or anything like that. That's just crap, And so, yeah, we ended up getting this TV show put together. I was on cable TV. I had a couple of my girlfriends that were involved, that were other people on the panel. And we were interviewing people like Don Miguel Ruiz and
Awesome.
Jack Canfield and those guys. And to me, I mean, it was so much fun, and it was, again, so much out of my comfort zone. But it was such a worthwhile project for us to be able to do. And I'm sad that it didn't go on further, because it didn't get picked up by one of the cables, because I think it was a little bit before its time.
Right.
But yeah, that was a whole lot of fun. And again, like, I wasn't expecting
Now's the
it.
time, though. Like,
No,
now's
I know.
a good time.
Well, now there are so many different platforms,
Yeah.
and there's so many different ways that you could do that. But again, it's like, let's see if I can fit that in somewhere,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Never in Your Wildest Dreams. Your latest book. Have you got an?
I just wrote one book. It came out in 2013.
13, yes.
Yeah.
It tells about your journey, about your struggles, trials, tribulations, celebrations. We've spoken a lot about your successes so far. What have been some of your deepest struggles?
Well, the book is actually fiction. It has a lot of my personal experience in there, which is what I've drawn from. And yeah, I think for me, what keeps showing up is I, for some reason, have this doubt that I can do something. Like, I have a doubt that
you're human?
Yeah. But sometimes the doubt can be a little more immobilizing than I realize.
Right.
And I have people around me that go, "Are you kidding me? If anyone can do it, you can do it." I'm like, yeah, you're right. But the fact that it's frustrating that keeps showing up. So it's like I got to get a little bit deeper and underneath it and go where, and I do know where it's coming from, and it's getting less and less
Where
loud.
is it coming from?
Well, it's just coming from a place where I was told when I was younger that you're not important, you're not special. There's nothing different about you.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, well maybe you're right. And it's not like I need constant validation, because I can remember and go, no, that's right. You have got this. And it's not like I do everything myself.
Yeah.
Yes, I know how to manifest. I know how to leverage the power of the universe.
Yeah.
Which also helps me attract the right people.
Yes.
And the right team to be able to help me to do that. And that is probably one of my biggest gifts. I can attract an amazing, set of people to come together to make something magical happen.
Yeah, you have that magnetic energy about you. Yeah. You will listen to me.
Yeah. Oh, and Americans love the sound of my voice, which is, you go, really? This Australian accent? Surely not,
Yeah. We are only human after all, and you are human. You said, I'll try everything once, and if I like it, I'll try it twice. I can only imagine some of your adventures. You would have done some crazy ass things. What are some of the most crazy ass things you've done?
Oh, wow. Well,
tell us some of your adventures.
Okay,
anyway.
some of the adventures. Okay, so Carnival in Rio was amazing.
Awesome.
I've hang glided off the cliffs in Rio, which is hilarious because, there's no safety rules. They just get up there and go, can you run? You go, yep. They go, okay. And they hook you up.
Can
You're
you
like,
fly? Okay, now.
That was insane. That was amazing. Running the bulls in Pamplona. They don't let women run. So I jumped in there twice and they pulled me out twice. I didn't actually get to do the running, but I was there for it, which was really fun. I've
Awesome.
scuba dived. I've bungee jumped 3 times. I've jumped out of a plane, which is kind of boring compared to bungee jumping. And but I'll try anything. And my new boyfriend scuba dives, which I used to dive when I was in my 20s. So now I'm like 50 and I'm 54 this next month. I got back into scuba diving again.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't think there's anything that I wouldn't try. Because I think that, we can do anything. And even though I'm getting a little older now, inside, in my mind, I still feel like I'm a 25-year-old.
Yeah.
So I'm still willing to try.
We've only just got started.
Really?
Yeah,
Right?
I know, right? We're only halfway.
Yeah.
We've only just got started. I am a big fan of your new podcast because of, we're women of a certain age.
Yes.
And not done yet, just different. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, so Glenn and I were married for like 20 years and we broke up, we separated in 2013. And we're still business partners and we're still friends.
Yeah.
And him and his fiance and me and my boyfriend will vacation together and things.
Why not?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I said to him. I said, darling, our relationship's not over. It's just different.
Yes.
And so that was the phrase that I coined back then.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that applies to so many different things.
Yeah.
And I think, especially now that I'm at this age, I realize that a lot of women don't talk about sex at this age or hormone changes and menopause or what it's like to be 53 and dating in LA. Like it can be scary and it can be exciting and it can be a whole bunch of things, but let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's kind of normalize some things. I think sometimes in America things could be a little, suppressed. And I'm like, no, let's not do that. And it's not just the talking of it, but modeling how to talk about it.
Yeah.
Like with my girlfriends, I had one of my favorite podcasts was with my girlfriends. There was, 4 of my girlfriends and me, and we were talking about what it's like to have female friendship at this time of our life.
It's true.
Because it's different.
Yeah.
We're not competing now. When we're younger, there's a lot of competition. When we're older, it's like, no, we understand how important it is to have that kind of a female connection at this time in our life. And so it's, and why that's so different. So I talk about everything and like there is no subject. And of course I don't get easily embarrassed, but I can talk about anything in a very matter-of-fact way. So I think it helps to any of the embarrassment that women might feel or shame or guilt in any of these conversations. I'm like, don't feel that. We're all different. We all do different things. And there is nothing in this world that we should be ashamed of,
Amazing. Yeah. And TLC.
Yes.
I'm a founding member of TLC as well. I think we, that was a few years ago.
Oh, you mean ATL?
ATL. Is it
Yep.
ATL?
Yeah.
I think that's such an important platform for where the collective consciousness is going at the moment.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so TLC is the original group. So Jack Canfield started that in 2004 because he wanted a place where he could, be with other people like him, speakers, authors, but in a place where they didn't have to be on, where they could just let their hair down, they could exchange some ideas and just be in a really comfortable environment. And so The Secret was actually filmed at a TLC meeting.
Yes.
So most of the people in The Secret are TLC members. And so it started to grow, especially after that. And they got to a point like, okay, we can't let any more members in. So they had the idea of coming up with regional groups.
Yeah.
And so Scott Cody, Terry Tillman, and Robert, I'm blanking on his last name right now, started ATL Southern California. It is definitely the biggest group. So I'm a founding member of that.
Yes.
And then a few years later was invited to join TLC as well. But it's a place where we as teachers and as transformational leaders can get together where we can be relaxed, we don't have to be on,
Yeah.
And we can exchange ideas and we can open our minds to, different ways of being. At our last ATL meeting in Southern California, I brought a policeman in. Mm-hmm. And, there's a lot of, talk and a lot of media around, police brutality and racism. And I'm like, we need to hear the other side of the story. Like, let's get a policeman in here who can tell us what it's like to do the job right now.
Yes.
So, we're looking at expanding our minds so we can be better teachers ourselves, but also to have a connection and a community where we can support each other.
Yes.
And rely on each other. Well, not rely on each other, but really support each other, because it's not always easy. I know before you were saying my life is in flow, and yes, it is. And when it's not, it's still in flow.
Yeah.
Because that's the moment that I look at it and go, okay, well, things aren't in flow right now. So what do I need to look at? What do I need to see? Is there something I need to release or something I need to learn here so we can get back into that place? And even that is divine. Even that I know is meant to be happening.
Yeah, the journey is the destination.
Yeah.
The journey is. And so do you have a lot to do with ATL in Australia still?
I'm the mentor, for the group.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's the next step for that? How's it evolving?
Yeah, it's going great. So I think this year they're starting a new chapter, a new thing, and the meetings are going to be much more interactive and not sat in a room the whole time.
Yeah.
So it'll be more experiential.
Yes.
So it's the new version is looking fantastic.
I look forward to it. I look forward to it. Natalie, I have two last questions for you. The next question is something I often think about myself as well, being doing what we do, being the disruptors, being the pokers in our industry and in the world. What is an insult that you have received that you are most proud of?
I was thinking, what's the worst insult? Don't call me normal or average, because I would be insulted. Let's see what I have. I think being too loud. Being too loud, being too vocal.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no such thing.
Yeah.
I don't believe that. I'm like you, and this is something that I admire about you. You are very succinct with your words. Like I was telling you when I read your book for the second time, it just reminded me. It's like you don't waste words. There's no fluff. What you say, every word has weight, every word has meaning, and every word has purpose in what you say.
Thank you.
And I feel like I'm a little similar to that as well.
Yes.
That was the thing when I started speaking on stage. I was like, you got to tell a story. I'm like, I don't want to tell a story. I just want to get to the point.
Yeah.
But the stories are what help people remember the point.
Yeah.
And I had to get a little better at that. I'd like to be more succinct. But if you are saying that I'm loud, I'm like, well, yes, but what I'm saying is important.
Yeah.
And it may not be important to you in this moment, but it's important to somebody.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna be quiet about that.
And we're allowed to be loud.
Exactly.
If you don't like it, block your ears.
That's right.
Or leave the room. Natalie, I have a gift for you. We're coming all this way.
Thank you. Oh, is this tea?
Yes.
Thank you.
It's
so
from the
much.
tastemakers of Red Lantern. Anti-ordinary chai for anti-ordinary people like you.
Thank you so much.
You're most welcome.
I really
Tiger
appreciate
purr.
that.
I have one last question for you.
Yes.
What makes Natalie Ledwell purr?
Juicy conversations.
Yeah. And really, 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 really good-looking men. I have to put 4 reallys.
Right. Yes. No, to me, and it can be about anything.
Yeah.
My boyfriend, we met during COVID. We've been together for a couple of years now.
What is his name?
His name is Bert.
Yes.
And, I am surrounded in California and some of the groups that I'm involved with a lot of Democrats. He's a Republican.
Okay.
And I have really enjoyed sitting in conversation with him.
Wow.
So I could hear the other side of the story.
Yes.
You know, I'm Australian. I'm actually going for my citizenship, but I'm on a green card at the moment. So I don't have any attachment. I can't vote. So I get this beautiful juxtaposition, or this position where I can sit in and go, yes, I agree with a lot of these things over here, but tell me this. Like, tell me why you think this. Tell me why you voted this way, or, what it is that you love about the policies of this party. Now, of course, these days, everything's very mixed up and very blurred, but it's been amazing and wonderful to be able to be in those conversations.
Yeah.
So, and it was really interesting.
And a privilege.
Yes.
An
Yeah.
absolute privilege, yeah.
So we were at Opera Bar for New Year's Eve.
Yes.
And I met these two American women, and we started chatting, and she recognized my pendant, which is created by a guy in Colorado, and she lives in Colorado. She knew the guy and the pendants. And we got to talking, and I mentioned that my boyfriend's Republican. She goes, how can you be spiritual and go out with a Republican?
Oh.
And I went, darling, I'm not very spiritual if I can't go out with someone because of their political lean.
Yeah.
I'm like, that makes no sense to me
Yeah.
whatsoever. But that's how divisive it is
Yeah.
and polarizing it can be in the US. But I'm like, I get to, so it doesn't matter what the conversation's about, but if we're sitting in something that I get to expand, or the other person gets to expand, and I'm getting to learn, and I feel this resonance and this frequency for being in those conversations, that's what blows my skirt up.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
cool. That's cool. The deliciousness of those conversations. Yeah.
Like this one.
Yeah. Natalie, thank you so much for your time. I look forward to our dinner on the weekend.
Yeah,
That's going to be another delicious dinner with delicious conversation and delicious company.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
darling.
you. I am a secret stalker of you. I love you, I admire you, and I respect you so much.
Thank you, darling.
Thank you for your inspiration. Thank you. I'm going to give you a hug.
Oh, yes. You're the best.